To most people, purchasing and supplies, okay, it's not really an entirely new concept. In fact, we go through it every day, okay? You undertake purchasing, be it data for your phone, food, clothes, pretty much anything. Now, purchasing and supply is one of those things that hence you don't really spend a lot of time trying to figure out the definition. In business, however, it's another thing, because there's a huge difference between doing something on a daily basis and doing it professionally. So let's look at purchasing and management from a professional perspective. Okay, look, again, I just want to point out that if you're new to this channel, okay, welcome to Zerite Network, and kindly do subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified every time we put out a new video. And well, you can access a lot of videos here, be it in business, legal aspects, development, okay? I mean, there are a lot of videos, so kindly do subscribe. Now let's talk about purchasing and supplies. What is purchasing management? From an organizational viewpoint, when you talk about purchasing management, you're talking about the acquisition of supplies or inputs, that is raw material, components, goods and services needed for the organization's activities, such as conversion, consumption, or resale. Now, it's not all organizations that have like a purchasing department. Most organizations, okay, not most organizations, but some organizations just have this thing taken care of by individuals or teams. For instance, you need something done, what do? You write a requisition to the accounting department or the finance department. They approve your requisition, get you the money, you go buy whatever you want to buy, and that's pretty much it with purchasing. But in some serious organizations, that entire thing is actually taken care of by a department, the procurement department or whatever it is. Well, irrespective of who's doing it, the basic purchasing objective is to buy materials of the right quality, in the right quantity, delivered to the right place at the right time, at the right price. What about supplies management? Let's talk about that. Supply is the process or act of providing something or making something available, often in response to a customer's requirement. Supply management means making sure that everything goes well in the process, involving the flow or transfer of goods, services, or information from a supplier to a customer. Now, supply management often happens or always happens in a chain. That is why you have something called supply chain, okay? Here's a practical example. So the output, okay, typically this is what happens. The output of one supplier becomes the input of another supplier. For instance, if you're talking about something like agriculture. So on one end, somebody produces fruits. And then what happens? So fruits is the result of the entire activity. Now the fruits are going to be needed as input for another person who's probably producing juice or something or syrup, okay? And that becomes input in to another person who's probably producing pancakes or something. I mean, it's just going to be a chain of events. Why is understanding this important? So managing supplies, okay? In fact, managing purchasing and supplies is important because the outputs that are going to come into your production process, if you don't look at them from all the way from the upstream end, then you end up having goods that are not, or other results, or other, let's just say, goods and services that are not of a good quality, and that may not really sit well with your customers. Here's what I mean. Here's a practical example of how that works. There are two sides to a supply chain: the upstream and the downstream. At one end of the supply chain, that is the upstream end, we look at suppliers as an important factor because they influence the quality of inputs that go into making of products and delivery of services. So as I pointed out earlier, you are making fruits, or rather you're making juice. You're making fruit salad for that purpose. If you are not careful with the kind of fruits that you buy, basically if you're not even looking at the suppliers, then you end up having issues, especially nowadays when everybody is, getting more information about their health, and so they are worried about whether or not they are eating organic produce or what pesticides or what chemicals, whatever it is that went into the making of that, whatever it is, the produce. So you start managing it from the upstream end. So on that end, suppliers are important because whatever they produce is what is going to end up being used by the company to produce what is going to be sold to with the customer. On the other end, there is a downstream end. Customer needs are the driving force behind all the organizational activities. So look, you're not going to add any value to your goods or service if you ignore the supply chain. I mean, whether you look at it from Michael Porter's value chain kind of perspective, you're talking about inbound logistics all the way to the sales and whatever after sales services. All that is just going to be part of a supply chain. And so you need to understand that. So if there is any question, do let me know. I'm Moses from Zerite Network, and I'll see you in the next video.